Now, before anybody goes,
Not too many therefores and whereas is resolved so far.
one more activity, and it just worked out this evening to have these events as well, because we have a resolution that comes up a little later, but we're going to do it first, and then we'll stop a little bit and give everyone a chance to leave who have other things they need to do. And if you want to stay, you're always welcome. We can hold more chairs in if you all want to stay. But there's been a lot of concern about 100 acres of property in Cato. That's a park we've had a great deal of use through generations. And there was concern about what might happen to that property. And there's a reason Dr. Jablonski's here, Bob Butler from the county legislature, and Dave Favreau I saw come in. Sheriff Favreau, there he is back there. Let me read the resolution, bring this forward. Ricky will read it. Resolution 105, and then we'll see what this is about. The purchase of real property from Clinton County.
Whereas the town of Plattsburgh has been leasing certain land located in the town of Plattsburgh, more particularly bounded and described in the deed recorded in the office of the Clinton County Clerk in the book of 548 of deeds, page 511, which is a parcel shown on the Clinton County tax map for the town of Plattsburgh, parcel ID 204.2-57.2, and parcel ID 204.2-57.1, known as the Katie'ville Recreational Park, from Clinton County at a nominal charge. And whereas a portion of this said land has been used for generations by the town of Plattsburgh and its residents for recreational purposes. And whereas the town has been advised by Clinton County that Clinton County intends to sell lands, and whereas the town believes that it is in the best interest of the town to purchase said lands for the sum of $290,000, so that the residents of the town will be able to continue said use of property for recreational purposes. And whereas the property will be financed through a bond anticipation mark, now therefore be resolved that after review by the town's attorney, the town board does hereby authorize the supervisor to enter into said contract for sale of said lands, and a copy of said document is attached hereto and made part thereof, and shall be executed all documents necessary to consummate the purchase. And it be further resolved that a copy of this resolution be given to the finance manager, the assessor, recreation of youth director.
Have a motion.
So moved.
Mr. Renata, second, Mr. Wood. Any discussion?
One, just in the first resolve, Bernie, is it correct that we're saying that supervisor to enter into a contract for the sale of said land, or should it be the purchase of said land?
Purchase. Thank you.
Jerry's beating me today.
And Jerry, you brought that forward. Tom, you concur
Yes,
with that
of course.
amendment to the resolution? Any other discussion from board members at this time? If not, what I think I will do is ask for a vote, and we'll take it to the next step. Roll call.
Thomas Wood,
Yes.
Mark Vanek,
Yes.
Paul Lemoy,
Yes.
Gerard Renadette,
Yes.
and Bernie Bassett.
Resolution carries.
You didn't vote.
Yes. I've been ahead of myself on this one for a while. Very briefly, and I'm going to ask Mr. Butler, Dr. Jablonski, and Sheriff Favreau if you would like to make any comments as well. We have been discussing this for many months. We've had a number of negotiations in trying to find a way to resolve this that met the best interest of all parties. I've been in this community all my life, and that's quite a few years, and there's always been a Katie'ville Park. Some of it for passive use, some of it for very formal use by our school athletic teams, by the community, for a stroll with your dog, for cross-country skiing, and most recently, disc golf. That's attracted players from all over. It's brought them into the community, they spend more time here. It's really been a very progressive program. Not to mention, probably everybody in this room has either played on those fields as a member of one of our soccer, softball, baseball teams, or certainly had your children, grandchildren. The Alpert family in about 1972, I think, the estate of the Alperts left this property to the community college to be used, to the best of my knowledge, they thought, for that purpose, but certainly for the public. As a result of the action this evening, we're going to be able to let those acres be used for many, many generations going forward. We acknowledge these are tough times, and believe me, this decision has taken many months to get there. But we've got to make short-term decisions that we can look back in the future, long-term, and know we did the right thing. And I think we did. And we've got a plan for this. We don't plan to put it on the back of taxpayers at all. That'll be unfolded more later this evening. But I'm very pleased, and I appreciate the time Bob Butler spent stopping in the office working with us. Sheriff Favreau seemed to help us get this over the edge, and Dr. Bronsky and I also met many times as we worked through this. And from the very beginning, a while ago, I was called to the president's office, and he sat us down and said, how would we like to work this transfer over to the town, find a way so we can keep this property in a manner that it was originally designed to be. So there'll be some more exciting things coming out about that, but I'm very pleased. And, Bob, John, Dave, would either of you like to make comment?
Want to go first, Bob?
No, my point being here, first of all, the community college can't own property, we have to hold property for them, and that's our job as legislators. And the thing is, I compliment this town board and President Jablonski and Dave Farrar for doing a great job of putting this final proposal together and this contract together and signing it, because it's a totally win-win situation. I worked as a school counselor and as a coach at the school. We used in the 80s and 90s, we used the facility for our tennis facility until we had one for the high school itself. It has their own facility now. The point is, I watched the summertime where the running programs, cross-country programs have been very effectively involved with that. I know last summer there was concern about what's going to happen when this contract runs out. Well, the contract was 40 years. This contract that the township paid $1 per year for 40 years, and in fact, the contract has come to an end, so we had to do something with that property. Well, the ideal thing is to make sure that nothing really changes. I know people are very concerned about what took place, and I think the meeting of the minds took place between Bernie and your board, as well as President Shablonsky and the board member Dave Favreau, to come to the meeting of the minds to say, what can we best do to serve our community? And what they did do was come up with a contract that was fair and justifiable and appropriate for all parties. So, as I say, everybody wins because now everything goes on as smoothly as possible for the next 40, 50, 100, or 200 years. Maybe after we're gone, think about that sometime. But the bottom line is, it's been a great transaction. A lot of hours that took place, a lot of searching of what's best and what's the best thing for the community. And I really believe that this was an outstanding performance by your board, as well as President Jablonski, to do the right thing for the community. The people in the west end of this community will be happy and relieved knowing that this is going to be finalized this evening. It has been finalized by this vote, and certainly appreciated by the county legislature, who made a small part of this. So for a small price to pay, everybody wins, and appreciate your efforts to do this and make sure this comes to a complete closure. President Jablonski.
Trustee Favreau, please join me. Most of you know Dave Favreau as the sheriff of Clinton County, but he's also Trustee Favreau, one of the people who serves on the board of trustees. And I'll make a brief comment, and then I'll invite Trustee Favreau to add to it. Much of what I would have said has been said already, and this is a great day for the town of Plattsburgh and for Clinton Community College. It is the result of a long process, many discussions that have always been in good faith, as Mr. Butler said, and we appreciate that. But today, we're actually bringing it one step closer to fruition. This vote tonight, and I acknowledge the town council, really ensures as Mr. Butler said before, that what the town of Plattsburgh has built over the last 40 years will continue for a long time to come. And for Clinton Community College, it helps us to ensure that we will be able to use those proceeds to replace what has become a 50-year-old heating plant in a 100-year-old former hotel that now is the George Moore Building at Clinton Community College. And so, without further ado, I would just echo the words that have been said, I think at least twice before. This really is a win-win proposition, so thank all who are involved.
First of all, congratulations to all the award winners that were here this evening. Your timing is impeccable, as usual, for the board. It's a perfect opportunity. We're talking about recreation. It ties in really nice. I would be remiss if I didn't sincerely commend all of you for doing what is right. It is a tough decision at these times, I understand. However, it was the right decision. I think most importantly for the residents and guests of the town of Plattsburgh, I think one of the most important things to recognize with this property, it was given to us by a family. It was given to the college by the Albert family. And tonight, that family legacy gets an opportunity to live on. It gets an opportunity to live on in the vision that they wanted it to live on in, helping out the community college and helping all the youth and everybody in our community. And I really appreciate the fact that the town acknowledged that, and the town is going to put up a memory of the family as well on the property to always remind us of that. And the college will always be indebted for that. And again, we want to thank the Clinton County Legislature for their support of the college. Everybody that's here tonight, enjoy the park. And again, we're the girls U19 team. They still here? Some of them? All of them? Yeah. Go get them. You got a pretty good coach. I watched him play in high school. He'll get you there. Thank you.
Abstract 3B.
Resolved that the abstract of audit claims number 3B-13, 416 to 558 for $309,838.96. And abstract 3B-13, 89 through 114 prepays in the amount of $1,108,124.33. Be received as reviewed by the audit committee, and the supervisor is hereby authorized to pay said out.
Have a motion. Mr. Lemoyne, second.
Second.
Mr. Renner, any discussion? Roll call.
Thomas Wood?
Yes.
Mark Daniel?
Yes.
Paul Lemoyne?
Yes.
Roy Bernadette?
Yes.
Bernie Bassett?
Yes, resolution carries. Resolution 97, Codes and Zoning Department Monthly Report.
Resolved to receive and place on file a report from Stephen Imhoff, Code Enforcement Officer for the month of February
Have
2000.
a motion. Mr. Wood, second.
Second.
Mr. Mannix, any discussion? Roll call.
Thomas Wood?
Yes.
Martin Mannix?
Yes.
Paul Lemoyne?
Yes.
Roy Bernadette?
Yes.
Bernie Bassett?
Yes, resolution carries. Resolution 98, Parks and Recreation Department Monthly Report.
Resolved to receive and place on file a report from Melanie Fayette, Recreation and Youth Director for the month of February 2000.
Have a motion. Mr. Wood, second. Mr. Lemoyne, any discussion? Roll call.
Thomas Wood?
Yes.
Martin Mannix?
Yes.
Paul Lemoyne?
Yes.
Roy Bernadette?
Yes.
Bernie Bassett?
Yes, resolution carries. Resolution 99, Supervisors Monthly Financial Report.
Resolved to receive and place on file the supervisor's financial report for the month of February 2000.
Have a motion.
So moved.
Mr. Renner, second. Mr. Mannix, any discussion? Roll call.
Thomas Wood?
Yes.
Martin Mannix?
Yes.
Paul Lemoyne?
Yes.
Roy Bernadette?
Yes.
Bernie Bassett?
Yes, resolution carries. Resolution 100, County Clerk's Monthly Report.
Resolved to receive and place on file a report from Rick Collins, Town Clerk for the month of February 2013.
Have a motion. Mr. Wood, second.
Second.
Mr. Renner, any discussion? Roll call.
Thomas Wood?
Yes.
Martin Mannix?
Yes.
Paul Lemoyne?
Yes.
Roy Bernadette?
Yes.
Bernie Bassett?
Yes, resolution carries. Resolution 101, Water Wastewater Department's Monthly Report.
Resolved to receive and place on file a report from Scott Stoddard, Water and Wastewater Director for the month of February 2013.
Have a motion. Mr. Wood, second.
Second.
Mr. Renadette, any discussion? Roll call.
Thomas Wood,
Yes.
Mark Manick,
Yes.
Paul Moy.
Yes.
Gerard Rindis.
Yes.
Bernie Dorchenez.
Yes, resolution carries. Resolution 102, request to advertise for sealed bids and purchase installation fittings to facilitate meter installation.
Whereas the Water and Wastewater Department has a need to purchase supply of fittings to facilitate the installation of water meters. And whereas Scott Stoddard, Water and Wastewater Director, has requested to solicit bids for meter installation fittings from suppliers. Now therefore be resolved that the town clerk is hereby authorized and directed to advertise for sealed bids for the project entitled Water Reading Meter Fittings, for which bid specifications and non-conclusion documents will be available from the town clerk's office. And said advertisement shall be placed in the Personal Publican with bids to be opened on April the 5th, 2013 at 2 p.m. at the Town Hall Complex, 151 Banker Road, Plattsburgh, New York, 12901. And it be further resolved that the town board reserves the right to reject any and all bids that are offered. And further resolved that a copy of this resolution be given to the town clerk, director of water and wastewater, and to the finance manager.
Have a motion. Mr. Lemoy, second.
Second.
Mr. Wood, any discussion?
Bernie, don't we do the bidding meetings at like 3:30 to make sure we get FedEx and all
You
those?
know, when I saw the two, Paul, I was trying to remember, I thought we put that in the calendar, and I didn't pick up on it. Well, it doesn't matter what we put. Would you like to amend that to
Yes.
3 o'clock?
You want to change it to 3 o'clock?
Paul, you made the motion. Tom, you're saying yes. We will amend it to read 3 p.m. And any other discussion?
Well, I just think it's important to point out in this particular one, for the specification and conditions, that the successful bidder is not gonna be just worked on for price, but it's gonna be the product, the safety, the quality, and delivery are gonna be considered when the bid's awarded. It's important to know that it's all these factors matter, and not just necessarily just the price.
Any other discussion? Roll call.
Thomas Wood,
Yes.
Mark Manick,
Yes.
Paul Moy.
Yes.
Gerard Rindis.
Yes.
Bernie Dorchenez.
Yes, resolution carries. Resolution 103, request to attend annual 2013 State Conference for Historians.
Whereas the town historian and deputy historian have participated in a number of regional and local events and meetings representing the town, and contributing to the development of the rich historical heritage of the town of Plattsburgh and the Champlain Valley. And whereas by participating in the annual state conference for historians, Mr. Bates and Mr. Glidden will be able to represent the interests of the town and to continue to remain current and informed, making them more effective town historians. Therefore, it is resolved that Jerry Bates, town historian, and William Glidden, deputy town historian, are allowed to attend the New York State Conference for Historians to be held April 17th through April 19th, 2013 in Syracuse, New York, at the Holiday Inn. And be further resolved that the amount not to exceed $700 each were paid for the conference, annual dues, lodging, meals, and tolls to be charged to the town historian's budget. And to be further resolved that a copy of this resolution be given to the budget officer, finance manager, and the town historian.
Have a motion.
So moved.
Mr. Wood, second.
Second.
Mr. Mannix, any discussion?
Bernie, I'm sorry. It would be possible to get a copy of the travel voucher. One was not attached. We do all have a copy, I believe, of the itinerary. And
Yes.
It's a quite filled event. I have no problem with either one of the people going, or historian or deputy historian, but I would like to see a copy of the travel voucher.
I will get a copy of that and the program to each of you.
And I would like to note that that it not only helps them in their work as historians, but it also promotes our area and the events that we have in this area, because they do make presentations or talk to people. And in this particular case, our deputy historian, Mr. Glidden, is continuing his presentations on the Civil War, which he has made in previous annual meetings of historians, and that Mr. Bates, our historian, has also presented at various historical conferences in the state. And I think it's really important. I went to this a while back, one of these, and you just get so much out of it, and you can A lot of people learn about the area, and it really does help.
Yeah, I guess just to embellish a pinch more, Tom, last year ended with sales tax beyond the county's projection, which was to the delight, I'm sure, of county government, to our legislature, certainly of some very positive feelings from the city as well as from other municipalities that share in the sales tax. It has to come from somewhere. And you really need to peel it back to see where it does come from. The kind of stock response is, our friends to the north, which is a very good answer. We have about 3.6 million people within an hour's drive. Give them a reason to drive, and they'll show up. Give them a reason to stay, and they'll shop, they'll be in our hotels, and we all know the hotel offerings continue to change, as well as restaurants and retail, along with our growing commercial. The region is being marketed, our region now, in many ways. One of the significant ways is the very relevant history. We have a Valley Forge at Pikes Component. We have involvement in every war, not that that's a positive thing, but certainly historically. And our historians are working on a very special Civil War display. We have the War of 1812 coming, Battle of Plattsburgh events. That brings an enormous amount of revenue into the community. Just like, I'm sure many people have been to Gettysburg and Manassas and so on, these become meccas for those who want to study history. And while traveling, they obviously go into the community. So there's a huge benefit. And every time, I don't care if it's a Nova bus or a Bombardier train or our historians, that there is a made in Plattsburgh, from Plattsburgh, presenters from Plattsburgh, there is a value. And we can't always measure it, but there's a reason why, in a very nasty economy, we actually saw last year especially increases in activity and growth. And this is no small part. And these, our historian Jerry Bates, we've said it so many times, and certainly Bill Wooden as well as a volunteer deputy historian, have contributed to that, I believe, in a very strong way. So thank you for bringing that up, Tom. But selfishly, there is a dollar benefit, not just to the town of Plattsburgh, but to the county, and really even more to the county with sales tax. But we'll save that for another day, because I will go beyond this.
Can we just give a quick plug to, I think it's Keith Herklow is trying to get a Cold War museum started also on the base. I think that, I've said for years that we should not lose our heritage as part of the Cold War and the place that Plattsburgh Air Force Base played in that. So I'm sure the rest of the board members would be willing to join me in giving at least verbal support towards that project. I think it's a great project.
Yeah, I've spoken with Keith, and he knows this board is very supportive of that, to add to the many reasons to come to beautiful Adirondack coast, to the beautiful Adirondack coast. All very good points. Thank you for sharing. Any other discussion? Roll call.
Thomas Wood?
Yes.
Martin Manac?
Yes.
Paul Moy?
Yes.
Brian Renner?
Yes.
Bernie Dorchenez?
Yes, resolution carries. Resolution 104, independent contractor for assessor's office, data collector, appraisal services.
Whereas the town of Plattsburgh has a need for real property data collection service, and after requesting service from qualified contractors, the town has entered into a contract for appraisal services with 9 Maple Ridge Drive, West Shazy, New York, 12992, to provide services to meet the town's assessment needs as an independent contractor, with a fee total not to exceed $30,000. Whereas resolution 012-122 was approved and the contract was executed for appraisal service data collection, and the need for service still exists, the assessor and the data collector wish to extend the contract for services to December 31st, 2013. Whereas the town has encumbered $10,000 from the 2012 budget account code, and the 2013 budget provides for staffing position that the assessor has determined to be more cost effective to contract for the service. Now therefore be resolved that the Town of Plattsburgh Town Board execute the appraisal services contract to December 31st, 2013, with the understanding that payment for services in 2013 will not exceed $30,000. And it be further resolved that the Town Board authorize the following budget amendment. And it further be resolved that after review by the town attorney, the supervisor is hereby duly authorized and empowered to execute an agreement on behalf of the town of Plattsburgh, and that a copy of this resolution be given to the finance manager, budget officer, and to the town assessor.
Have a motion.
So moved.
Mr. Manick, second. Mr. Wood. Before we go any farther, those that may be listening without a copy in front of them, a couple things that I need clarifying. First, whereas it was read that the town has entered. That was referencing a previous agreement. It really was written as the town had, past tense, entered into a contract agreement. And the other one was in the first resolve. Ricky read that we execute, I believe. Yes, I was trying to think of the word, I didn't make the note. The word is extend. Thank you, Marty. We are extending it. We have not executed and we have not done anything prior to this resolution, other than we're acknowledging we had an agreement and the assessor would like that extended as a result of a positive vote on this, okay? Just so anyone listening gets the clarity on that.
I'll also point out that the need for this is to go through all of the homes and all of the businesses in our town within a certain period of time, and that's required by the state, and we need to have this extra work done to do it. And we did not hire an extra person, so we're just extending this contract.
And I, for one, would like to congratulate our finance manager for his work on this resolution, because the resolution not only addresses the extension of the contract, but it very specifically outlines where the funds are coming from that are gonna be used to fund this service that we're contracting for. And that's important because it'll be this time or beyond this time next year before somebody will be sitting down, trying to really otherwise sort out where did those funds come from and how did they end up there. It's very specific as to what the line items are that need to be increased and decreased.
Any other comments? Roll call.
Thomas Wood,
Yes.
Martin Manick,
Yes.
Paul Moy,
Yes.
Gerard Renadette,
Yes.
and Rick Beck.
Yes, resolution carries. Resolution 105, we've already passed. That would take us to resolution 106, which has no small relationship to 105, authorizing conveyance of town real property.
Whereas the town of Plattsburgh is the owner in fee of the following described premises tax map ID 233.-1-37.1, containing 6.46 acres. A description of said property is attached hereto and made there part of. And whereas said premises are vacant and are not necessary for town use or purpose, therefore be resolved that the subject to permissive referendum, Bernard C. Bassett, as supervisor of the town, and on behalf, be hereby is authorized to retain a licensed real estate broker to locate a buyer for said premises. And it be further resolved that Mr. Bassett, as supervisor of the town, is hereby authorized to execute all documents that may be required to effect the sale and transfer of all right, title, and interest of the town in said property. And it be further resolved that a copy of this resolution be given to the finance manager and to the assessor.
Have a motion.
So moved.
Mr. Manick, second.
Second.
Mr. Renadette. I'd like to amend the resolution, and I'm kind of winging this as we go, so please input. But my concern is there was too much left to the supervisor. In the further resolve, we might note that Mr. Bassett, as supervisor of the town of Plattsburgh, and with the approval and recommendation of the town attorney is hereby authorized too. I think that's important to include. Everyone in agreement with that?
Yes.
Marty and Gerard, you concur? Okay.
The only thing I'd like to see, Bernie, I mean, we're gonna put this out for sale. This is really authorizing you to sell it without it ever coming back to the board again.
And I
That
don't
won't
agree with
happen.
that.
Yeah, that's what I was hoping you were gonna say.
It's gotta come back here, because I'm not gonna approve this if it doesn't mean it comes back here when we find out what it's supposed to be. And I disagree with this real estate broker.
So I just got the notes on the recommendation and consult of the town attorney as an amendment. I can add language, I won't quote exactly what it is unless you want me to the final further resolve.
Why don't you just
That-
take, why don't you just take that further resolved out, and we just have a resolution to sell the property when we get a proposal?
Well, and that's part of the legal process of how this will need to be advertised and brought before the board, and the
Right,
board has
right.
the right to refuse any and all bids, and,
Sure.
you know, that's the next step.
So just cross that resolve right out.
The last one?
Yeah, the further resolve, next to the last one.
Let me just see, let me go back up a notch and see what we've got. Subject matter referendum, hereby authorized to retain a licensed real estate broker. So at this point, all we would do is get the broker and then bring
There you
the
go.
hiring of the broker back, and we could go to further resolve in that next resolution.
Yep.
I
The
think that
broker
would
brings
work.
us a
Brings us
a
an
buyer
offer,
and an
so-
offer, and,
Yes, no,
you know, we consider that, and if we decide we're gonna act on that, we do a resolution, act on it.
correct.
And I would comment, I can understand some of Tom's concerns regarding the use of the real estate broker, but I think the value of the real estate broker is it does give us, it gives us the ability to demonstrate that we have considered, you know, the available market value of the property. And when it goes before a real estate broker, and it should be an ALS listing, you know, we've got all the real estate people in the county who can bring forth their friends and close associates who are interested in buying a piece of property on a lake. But the bottom line is, we want to be able to demonstrate that we have sold a piece of property at its highest and best market value.
Plus it gives another area of buffer, as it were, between us and
Yeah.
the sale of the property. I think that
That's
we
right.
need, as elected officials, to remove ourselves from any possible charge of impropriety in the sale of this property.
But I contend that if you sell a house for a certain percentage goes to the broker, and because we're a municipality, not a business municipality, we have to spend more, a greater percentage to hire a real estate broker. We're losing too much money, that's my concern.
Unless the broker is able to bring a greater price, including the subtraction of any fees, than we otherwise might have been able to get independently.
Now, how are you gonna figure that out?
Well, that won't be real hard. There are certain brokers who are working with, I'll say, international clients who have a strong desire, and we would never know who they are or even how to contact them. And I don't want to take a chance they're going to stumble on an ad in the paper that says property for sale, or on our website. We need someone that can go direct to someone they already know is looking for property. Now, we also have, we've got a pretty open discussion, neighboring property owners, that if I were them, I'd be very interested in this also, and we'll certainly make them aware so they can participate. But I think, as was mentioned, it takes us out of the equation to preference one neighbor over another, or over someone from outside of the area that just wants lakeside property. And that has a great deal of value that will be recouped, as well as someone that is more familiar with the process and all the paperwork involved.
I would also advise that broker's fees are negotiable.
They might be. We've been saying that, but we'll find that out very soon.
Only one way to find out.
Yes, sir.
Well, I don't agree with the 10%, and I'll vote against it on that basis.
And you have that right to do so. Any other discussion? As amended with, as I understand it, simply taking out the further resolved. I
The
think
first
we
one.
have, no, the second one is what I've got taken out.
The first further result.
Correct.
Okay.
That would simply authorize step one, and then we'll bring that back and we'll expand this. I'm comfortable with that.
I am also.
Based on that amendment, removing that portion of the amendment, roll call please.
Thomas Wood,
No, on basis that 10% is too much for broker's fee.
Martin Manick,
Yes.
Paul Moy,
Yes.
Ryan Renadette,
Yes.
Bernie Bassett.
Yes, resolution carries. Based on my stack, that would be the evening's agenda. With that said, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Mr. Renadette, second.
Second?
Mr. Wood, any discussion? A roll call?
Thomas Wood,
Yes.
Martin Manick,
Yes.
Paul Moy,
Yes.
Ryan Renadette.
Yes.
Bernie Bassett.
Yes, we'll stand adjourned at 7:55. Drive safe.